Well, dairy industry leaders are set to gather next week for the annual National Dairy Board meeting. The event aims to focus on future promotion and policy efforts while also working to make every drop count for U.S. farmers. Well, Bjerga with the National Milk Producers Federation joins us now for an overview. As always, Alan, thanks for your time here this morning. So what are some of the accomplishments that you'll be touting at that meeting?
Well, it's very exciting to be at our first in-person joint meeting between the Dairy Board and the National Milk Producers Federation next week. It's going to be great to see folks and be able to talk about some of the key issues affecting this industry. You know, we've been through a lot the last couple of years. I've learned a lot of lessons in the last couple of years. You know, clearly you have to take a look at some of the issues that there is with both prices and pricing these days. We always want better prices for farmers' milk. We always want to find new outlets for products. The good news is that there's a lot of progress on this front. You know, we are on pace for a record year in dairy exports, which is pretty amazing when you think about some of the challenges we're facing with port situations. You know, we're also looking at some federal initiatives that are being very helpful for dairy, such as the Dairy Donation Program. That's a up to $400 million program that can actually create a new market for dairy producers serving food insecure communities that always say they want dairy products more than anything else. There's always a lot of work to do. We're going to have a lot of things to talk about in terms of the work we need to do over the next year. But there's also a lot of good news on the dairy policy front, and it's going to be fun to celebrate that, along with a really great nationally recognized cheese contest, which I personally am greatly looking forward to.
Now, what are some of the challenges, of course, that dairy farmers are facing as we look ahead to 2022?
You know, one of the things is frankly, as we look ahead and we're building new markets and we're reaching out to consumers and we're fighting the plant-based imitators that impugn upon dairy's good name, we also need to make sure that we have equity and treatment of dairy producers. You know, there was a change to what's called the Class 1 mover formula. That's what's setting the fluid price milk in the 2018 Farm Bill. That there were some unintended consequences of that during the pandemic that ended up really resulting in a fairly significant revenue loss to dairy farmers. The USDA has partially compensated farmers for those losses, but there were some issues with the formula in terms of who got compensated for what. We really need to work as hard as we can to make all dairy farms whole from this change in federal policy. And so you need to take a look at that in terms of getting that additional assistance that we need for the industry. Beyond that, then you need to look at some of these milk pricing formula issues beyond that in terms of coming up with really, a fair, equitable, sensible system for the 21st century. These pricing systems have not been changed since the year 2000 significantly. It's really time to take a fresh look at milk pricing, see what's going on. We're going to be having a lot of conversations on those topics as well. So there's a lot to do. There always is in dairy, but it's going to be great to be together for the first time in a couple of years, where you really can start building the consensus across the industry you need to find solutions to these issues.
All right. Well, Alan, as always, thank you very much for joining us and safe travels to the meeting. Alan Bjerga with the National Milk Producers Federation connecting with us here today. You can go online to nmpf.org for additional information.